These are 8 car brands that have quietly made repairing your own car off-limits, and the method they used did not require a single law. Nobody handed them the power to lock you out of your own car. They built that barrier into the code, the chemistry, and the fine print. Your car still belongs to you on paper, but the moment you try to change your own oil, some of these brands treat you like a trespasser in your own garage. Changing your own oil is not illegal. A federal law called the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, passed in 1975, protects your right to service your own vehicle and use aftermarket parts. Dealerships cannot legally void your coverage just because you skipped the service bay. They know this law exists, which is why they stopped relying on legal threats and switched to technology. Software lockouts, proprietary oil certifications, and documentation requirements replaced the old intimidation tactics, and most drivers never see them coming until the claim denial is already in their hands. European automaker BMW calls its system condition-based service, and on paper, it sounds like a genuine convenience feature. Internally, this system monitors your actual driving habits and tells you when an oil change is needed, rather than locking you to a rigid mileage schedule. Trouble surfaces the moment you do the job yourself. You can drain the oil, swap the filter, and refill the engine without any mechanical difficulty, and the vehicle proceeds to ignore everything you just did. That pesky dashboard warning stays lit until you reset it. You can clear it yourself using the Trip Reset button without any special tools, though official diagnosis is done via a system called ISTA. On top of that, BMW specifies a proprietary branded oil labeled Long Life 17. Use anything else, and the guaranteed denial arrives fast, with little room for debate. BMW did not block the drain plug. It blocked the confirmation system that makes the change count. Mercedes-Benz relies on a central database called the Digital Service Booklet, and authorized technicians log your entire service history into it. On the surface, that sounds useful, but in practice, it creates a record that works against you the moment something goes wrong. Every service you complete at home without having an authorized technician log it into the central database disappears from the official electronic record. As a result, internal processors treat the job as if the change never occurred. Drivers discover this while standing in a service bay, being told their repair claim for engine fixes will not be honored because the service log shows a gap. An average oil change at a Mercedes dealer runs several $100s, and that digital architecture steering people toward paying that price was not built by accident. Audi and its parent company Volkswagen established strict engineering performance standards for their oil. Their engines require oil certified to internal specifications, one of which carries the code VW504.00, and that code does not appear on most store shelves. You cannot substitute a well-reviewed full synthetic oil and guarantee an engine defect claim will hold if the manufacturer proves the non-certified fluid caused the failure. Audi's argument centers on engine compatibility, and there is some technical legitimacy to it. Certain Audi engines run tighter tolerances than most, and the wrong additive package can contribute to accelerated wear over time. But the practical outcome of that argument narrows your options to strictly what Audi's supply chain prefers, and that outcome is profitable. Shifting away from European automakers does not solve the problem, as Subaru proves otherwise. They do not fight you mechanically or electronically. Subaru fights you on paper, and that battle is harder to win. This brand permits DIY oil changes without any electronic restriction. But if your engine develops a problem and you file a defect claim, Subaru demands documentation so detailed that most home mechanics could not produce it. They may ask for your maintenance logs and dated receipts, but federal law prohibits them from requiring specific filter part numbers. If they can prove that neglect or a defective filter directly caused the engine failure, your claim could be denied. This strategy works beautifully because average people store oil receipts loosely. As a result, Subaru converted that burden of proof into an effective barrier, which systematically discourages home mechanics without technically banning them. Domestic brands use similar tactics. General Motors requires Dexos-certified oil in its modern engines, which means the Dexos arrangement deserves a closer look. Dexos is not purely a quality specification. It is a licensed trademark, and oil manufacturers pay GM a fee to put that label on their products. Use an oil that meets the same technical performance requirements but skips the Dexos certification, and the engine will run exactly the same, as no sensors digitally read an oil's licensing status. In turbocharged engines especially, using an oil with the incorrect physical viscosity can cause severe damage. But this is a physical failure of the lubricant rather than a software issue. GM simultaneously collects licensing revenue from oil companies, but legally, any oil meeting the technical specifications fully protects your coverage regardless of the stamp. Such financial logic behind this arrangement is definitely not subtle. Buying a compact car sometimes brings the exact same headaches as owning a large luxury sedan. Mini built its brand identity on being accessible and a clean break from the prestige machinery surrounding it. Its price tag reflects that positioning. Its underlying technology, however, contradicts this entirely. Mini is owned by BMW, which means the same condition-based service architecture applies to every model on the road. Likewise, the CBS reset requirement remains firmly in place. Owners who buy one specifically to avoid the cost of luxury car ownership discover this at their first oil service. They realize the complexity is unavoidable. Though this vehicle may be compact, its dealer dependency heavily mirrors the most expensive offerings in the BMW lineup. Ford's modern engines calculate oil life using more than a simple mileage counter. Temperature cycles, driving patterns, load, and idle time all feed into the algorithm. And the Ford Pass Connect platform records this data and routes it back through the service network. If you change the oil at home but do not reset the oil life monitor correctly, the vehicle will prematurely warn you that an oil change is due, though it does not actively degrade your engine behavior or fuel economy. Ford has also actively pushed against independent diagnostic access laws, which would force automakers to open their systems to outside shops. While separate in practice, their tracking network and lobbying efforts are aligned in direction, consistently pointing toward keeping service revenue inside the dealership doors. Tesla electric vehicles do not use engine oil, but they take owner lockout further than anyone else. This automaker sealed its vehicles so thoroughly that bleeding the brake system, accessing battery coolant systems, or working near high-voltage components requires proprietary coding only Tesla controls. Independent mechanics regularly hit a software wall, where the car simply will not cooperate without a Tesla-specific credential. Management also spent years fighting independent service mandates, citing safety and cybersecurity concerns. They did not restrict access to one fluid or one service interval. It removed the concept of owner-level maintenance access as a deliberate design principle and built an ecosystem where the home mechanic has no entry point at all. 8 brands use different methods to reach one shared destination. Your legal right to maintain your own vehicle still stands. What these automakers changed is the real cost of exercising it. A DIY oil change that once meant $30 and a free afternoon now carries the potential risk of a denied repair claim worth several thousand. For most drivers, that risk calculation ends at the dealership every single time, which is precisely where these systems were designed to send you. Fortunately, momentum for independent repair access is gaining ground at the state and federal level, because some automakers have begun releasing limited diagnostic access under legal pressure. That progress is slow and still incomplete, but it is moving. These 8 brands on this list are watching it closely. Share in the comments whether you still handle your own oil changes, or whether one of these brands changed that calculation for you.